Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's TheVongolaBox here, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing a little more of discussion. I'm going to be discussing how much do you really have to grind to get to a certain point and level in the game where, you know, you have pretty good champions, you're got a high hero rating, you've got a good alliance, you're getting the resources you need to properly be able to, you know, be competitive, get your champions to that level that you really want them to be. So I mean, it all varies. It's a little difficult at sometimes, and you know, a lot of it is actually based on luck. Unfortunately, the game has this, and honestly, a lot of games too. It's based on player luck. You know, especially for a game like Marvel Contest of Champions, it's a lot based on, hey, are you pulling good heroes from the hero crystals? But that only goes to a certain level and degree. You know, you also have to be able to grind out, you know, put some time into the game, and that's with all games, you know. Now, there will be people that some will grind harder than others, and because they grind harder than others, they'll see themselves getting a bit better champions. But there's some that will grind just as hard as other people, but they won't have as good champions as the other person. So I like to look at my alliance a lot, right? So in my alliance, which is Galactic Kittens, we're looking for some people that are dedicated to the game. So if you want to know, if you want to join the clan, just add me in game, message me, comment, and then, you know, we'll be able to see if we can set you up. We do use line, but as I was saying, so I have a couple members in my alliance, right? Shout out to them, by the way, to the Galactic Kittens. So some of them grind really hard. I take one of my officers, for example. He's just, you know, he's a hardcore grinder. He's full of resources. He's very patient. He saves his crystals for the right time, for the right openings. And my alliance wouldn't be much without him. But this guy grinds so hard, and his first 5-star champion was an Iron Patriot. So I mean, that's just an example of how luck and grinding does come a long way, but luck does really does impact your game state and whether really bad. Well, as I was saying, it does impact your game state and what kind of champions you're gonna get. So if a guy like him, he's grinding out, you know, constantly doing arenas, doing wars, doing quests, and all this stuff, which is very time consuming, guys. You know, if you wanna get like good stuff from the arenas, you gotta put in time. You know, it takes about 3 hours for every champion to regenerate. Even if you go through your whole team, you still have to every 3 hours be on top of it if you're trying to get some of the champions in the right arenas. Lately I haven't really been going for arenas, and I never really go all out on the arenas. But let's take this one for example, right? The Captain America one. So Nightcrawler is actually a really good champion. So this arena is really worth getting, and not just for the Nightcrawler, but more for the Captain America World War II. He's one of the top tier champions in my opinion. He's good defense, good attack. He's all around very good. Plus he has a pretty decent PI. But the cutoff for this arena could be like, I think 9 mil. I think it was 9-10 mil to get the 4-star Captain America. Now, personally, I've never gotten to that point where I'm grinding out 9 mil, 10 mil, whatever. At one point, I didn't think I could. Now I can. I got enough heroes where I think I can get to that point. But you kind of have to no-life it. You kind of have to dedicate those, what, 3 days is it? Yeah, about 3 days. Exactly, 3 days, 72 hours for hardcore grinding. And it's not easy, you know. It gets frustrating. You get bored. Nobody wants to sit in front of their phone screen and just fight champions over and over again for a whole well, not 72 hours straight, but you know, almost every 3 hours you're expected to come back and re-grind for more points. And it's hard. It's a lot harder than it is. But there are some pros to that, you know. Other than going for the 4-star featured champion, you can go for the rewards. So, oh, look at that. Rocket Raccoon's kicking my ass. But you can go for the rewards, which will give you, they'll give you the premium hero crystal shards. They'll give you units. This is a good way to grind units, by the way, because units do come a long way. Actually, they're probably the most important part of this whole game. You get units, you get shards. From the shards, you'll get crystals. You'll form the crystals. And at the end of the arena, if you rank high enough, you're able to get 3-star, a premium hero crystal, you know, additional rewards. But like I said, it's very time consuming and it sucks. Not everybody wants to be grinding for the arena. Personally, I don't do it often. I might do it for the cable, but that's gonna be one of those arenas where, you know, if you don't grind the crap out of it, you're gonna get shit, and that's just how it is. Another way that I suggest for newer players, especially to start, arena's a good way to go. Another way where players that, especially beginner players that are looking to get more competitive into the game, is the story quests. So the story quests are going to be very important. The special event quests are going to be very important, especially at that beginner level, where you can do Act 1 and 2. Eventually you'll get, I think, a 3-star out of Act 2 if you 100% it. While you're doing arenas constantly, you know, you're going to end up doing the 2-star arena. And if you're a beginner player, I mean, I didn't really realize it, but these, starting from the 11 to 30%, which shouldn't be too hard to get, you get 2 premium hero crystals. If you go to top 2%, you get a Captain America. As a beginner player, that's really good. 3-star Captain America. If you get the top 1%, you get the 2-star premiums. If you go all the way to rank 1 to 200, you'll get the 3-star and all that stuff. The catalyst, the premium hero crystals. But that's arena grinding, you know. Not everybody has time to do that arena grinding. Story quests are probably going to be some of the things that players want to get into. Beginner players and even the more experienced players, you know. Act 3, a lot of people that I knew, now most of them have done Act 3, but when I first started playing the game, not a lot of the players I knew had finished 100%. It's not that easy. It's not hard, but it's very time consuming. I mean, the best reward you're going to get is a 4-star hero crystal. And at that level, when you're grinding out Act 3 for 100%, that's really important. I have a buddy that just started playing the game. He's got 4 stars from premium hero crystals. And hey, good on him. He got lucky. But not everybody has that luck. Like I said, you always can't grind hard and expect to get the best. I've gone on a streak. I've been in a 1.5-month streak where I haven't gotten a 4-star hero from a premium hero crystal. And, you know, it gets frustrating because you keep opening all these things and then you expect, hey, let me at least get a shitty 4-star hero where it makes me feel a little better. But not even there. I have to get the 4-star shards, which I get 1 every week or so. Week and a half, week. Sometimes I get 2 a week. It depends on what events there are. But I mean, stories are going to be the best way. The one thing that sucks is Act 4. You're only going to get through Act 4 if you have a Scarlet Witch duped, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Captain America, you know, some of those high top tier champions that, you know, you might not have. And a lot of it also requests your synergies, you know. What do you have the right champions to build the right team to be able to get that right synergy? I only cleared Act 4 because I duped my Scarlet Witch, and then I ended up 100%ing it because of Scarlet Witch. Now, if I would have tried a little harder and I didn't have a Scarlet Witch, I probably could have done it with the Captain America and the Star-Lord I have. But, you know, a big thing in this game is if you get Scarlet Witch, you're almost guaranteed to, like, beat the game. To this point, Act 5's coming out soon, and I suspect Kabam will do something to kind of make Scarlet Witch not be the tank that she is for Act 5 to make the game a little more challenging, which wouldn't be a bad idea, because at some point when you have Scarlet Witch duped, it ends up getting boring. The game's no longer challenging, and that's going to drive people away from wanting to play the game. So I'd assume that Act 5 they'll have some levels where Scarlet Witch is just completely useless. Plus the rewards they probably have would entail for it to be at that level of difficulty. I remember when the Mortal quest came out, the special event quest, which is another way players should grind to get more rewards. Scarlet Witch was useless against Mordo. She was just useless because if she stunned him and he he'd just avoid, if I hit him with the stun, he'd just hit me and kick my ass. Which, you know, I use Captain America to kind of kill the Mordo. So it was a little bit difficult. But like I said, beginner players, you know, most of them at like some point, like level 20 or so, can get through the normal 100% it. My buddy that's been playing for 2-3 weeks now, he can actually normal this and 100% it. It's gonna take a little while, but it's possible. You know, get an old man Logan sucks, but for the most part, you get a tier 1 alpha catalyst, which is very important to me when I was in the 20s. 1,000 half a form 3-star crystal, tier 4 basic catalyst fragment, which you don't worry about that level until you get to the 40s. And I'll talk about grinding tier 4 class catalysts, because it is a little difficult even for me at my level, and sometimes you don't have the resources. You're always going to have more champions that you want to upgrade than the resources you'll have in this game, and that's how the game is meant to be. That's how the Kabam's going to make their money worth out of this game, and that's how, you know, they're going to make you want to grind more and play more. You know, you have those Realm of Legends. We're not even going to discuss these because you don't really touch that as a player. And now spending. At some point you have to spend money if you want to get really, really, really competitive, or you want to have the patience. But at some point, if you do want to get certain things, you do have to spend the money. It's not for everybody. That's completely understandable. But there is a barrier, I think, as a player. I've been playing the game seriously for like 6 months, and I think there's at the point where, you know, spending the money does make a big difference between players that spend money and players that don't spend money. So there is that, you know, that barrier, that wall, that if you start spending money, you might see a little more luck in the game. But that's just because you're opening more crystals. So it's, you know, it's 2 and 2. If you're spending more money, you're going to get more crystals, and that's going to help your end state by getting more heroes, and you might end up getting a hero that you want. But not everybody's going to spend money, you know. Not everybody's going to want to spend money on a game, which is completely understandable, you know. And, I mean, another thing is being involved in your alliance. Being involved in your alliance can come such a long way, and having a good alliance comes a long way. But then that depends on the player, because if a player is going to go to an alliance that is trying to grind hard and they're doing bare minimum, they're not going to stay in the alliance forever. So, I mean, it's really up to the player how much they want to grind and contribute to an alliance, because from a war, you can easily get, what is that, about almost a sixth if your alliance wins of a 4-star shard, of a 4-star crystal, which, you know, that adds up. Those 4 stars add up. Even look at the 3 stars. But I mean, a lot of it is you have to grind hard for it, and sometimes you're gonna have weeks, even months, like I am, where you don't get anything as hard as you grind. You don't get what you want, and you get frustrated. But if you gotta break that barrier where you feel like, damn, like, am I gonna quit now or am I gonna keep going? And that's up to every player to decide, because it does get frustrating, and you do have to grind, and you'll see players that grind less than you get better stuff than you. I'm an example of it. I don't grind as hard as some of my teammates, and I sometimes get better stuff than them. I was going crazy in November, getting all this good stuff, and my teammates were just getting janked. But now it's the other way around. I'm getting janked, which is fine. It's supposed to be, and they're getting pretty good stuff. And that kind of balances it out, I guess. But even then, I look back on it, I'm like, damn, I was still getting a lot better things than they were. And my end state of the game was just amazing. So, I mean, a lot of it does depend on how hard you grind. But like I said, luck does come a long way, and spending money does add on to it. If you want to get really good at the game, if you want to get a lot of good heroes, you do have to grind. But then you have to accept the fact that you're not always going to get the best things you want. And that is where the good players and the players that aren't so competitive and they're not considered that good, that's where the difference is. You have to accept the fact that sometimes you're not going to get what you want, and you have to break that barrier, because then eventually it won't bother you as much and it won't demotivate you to want to keep playing the game. But let me know what you guys think. Comment, subscribe. If you disagree with me, by all means, I want to hear why. It's interesting to me. And, you know, just subscribe. Have a good night, guys. Until next time. And thank you so much for watching.